We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello and welcome to We Say Things, episode 268. I almost said 100. Wow. That would be quite backwards. Suns fan here with Cinderin. It's been a while, my friend. It's been a while.
Yeah, so we were going to do an episode last week, but then I was sick, and then I was casting, which went okay. And the week before that, I believe you were at a wedding, so sometimes things just don't line up all that well. But
That's right.
That's okay. That's why it's nice to have your own podcast, Shannon, because then you're your own boss, and then you can just not be there.
True. Yeah. That's the reason I have so many projects, because I can just do whatever the fuck I want.
That's great.
That's right. Thank you to our beautiful patrons. What is your favorite hero and favorite sets or cosmetics for that hero from both of you?
I can answer that question pretty fast. I can answer my favorite cosmetic. Oh, it has to be from that hero. It's not favorite hero and favorite cosmetic.
See, I'm biased because we put so many cosmetics in the game, so it's just going to be one of those.
I mean, my favorite cosmetic, without a doubt, is the Quap Arcana.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's not my favorite hero. It's a really cool hero, though. So let's just say Quap Arcana. Let's keep it simple. Quap is also a cool hero. So
okay.
That's fine.
Even though I don't play the hero very much, the old Juggernaut set that we came out with for Captain's Draft, it's just a classic.
It's really cool.
Made
Balance
by
of the Blade Keeper.
Balance of the Blade Keeper, made by Kunkka himself. And it has the little Buddha healing ward, which unfortunately most people use the cat, which I understand. I get it. But we were the first to do the healing ward. We were pioneers, Cinderin. Thank you also.
It was a real awesome and profitable tournament, so we never got to do it again.
That's right. Thank you also to Mechazor, Empire of Dirt, 10 out of 10 Goldblooms, Malicious Damage, Lakers in Cancun, Amish Toaster, Wagyu, more like Wag Poo, am I right? Crownfall Enjoyer, Suns Nugget Boy, STGC Daniel, and Pepperballs.
And T-Coil, Vlad, let's have Puppy on the podcast, Disco Farm D, The Mega Pope, Shark TM, Janie, Dop, Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and koala fingerprints are so similar to humans that even experts struggle to tell them apart. Mr. Niebling. Huh. Is that actually the fingerprint that's the closest to a human? Is that a koala?
I couldn't tell you.
That surprises me. Let's put it that way. I'm surprised.
We want more koala facts, like the fact that they can rip your face off, that they have chlamydia, all that good stuff.
Oh, that's where the similarity to humans is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so let's get started. This one is a bit of a weird topic because we don't talk politics. I'm not going to talk politics. This is more on a personal note. Obviously, there's been issues. I'm going to keep this extremely simple. There have been issues in Iran, where I have a lot of family in, especially Tehran. It's been very scary, very stressful for our family and a lot of other families there. So I'm just wishing everybody the best. Seems like things are over, hopefully, crossing my fingers. So that's all I'm going to say. Won't go any further than that. And with an amazing...
It's good to hear that everybody you know is safe. That's good.
Yes. Amazing segue into the NBA segment. It's gonna be a long segment.
All right.
So the NBA Finals occurred. The Oklahoma City Thunder have won in 7 games. Cinderin. That was not the team I was rooting for. Indiana, I was definitely rooting for. They were the underdogs of it feels like the century. That's the team I was talking about where their best player was just going crazy with these 15, 20-point comebacks. He would hit last-second shots consistently. It was like nothing anybody had ever seen. They play games. I think we talked about Game 5, so they were down like 3-2. They play Game 6 in Indiana, and they destroy Oklahoma by like 30 or something. It was not close. It was just an absolute shellacking. And then Game 7 occurs. It's in Oklahoma City, so they have the advantage. Plus, Oklahoma City are the enormous favorites. The fact that it went 7 games is shock in and of itself. And of course, anytime I'm rooting for a team, disaster hits. Their best player, I'm going to show the clip. He's a very unique star in that his numbers are not always very good, but the translation into winning basketball is there, like undeniably there. But he's the guy that is like super clutch, and if he's on, like there's nothing you can do, right? So he starts out the game, like there's some games where he just doesn't even shoot in the first half. Like it's really strange from a star. This time he came out aggressive and he was draining shots left and right. And then this was in the first quarter. He was on fire. This happens here. I'm going to fast forward a bit. You can see him visibly upset. He knows that something has happened. And when you see the slow-mo, actually, let me skip a little bit ahead. Here, right here. Wait, is this it? No, not this one. So he had hurt his calf earlier in the series, right? So everybody's like, okay, it's a bit risky to do that. Right here, look at his leg. Look at the twitch.
Oh,
boom,
no.
right there. You see that?
Not yet. Okay, try again. Oh.
So immediately he knows what happens. And the thing is, everybody watching knows what happens because this has happened so many times this year. It is a torn Achilles, which is I believe it's the absolute worst injury you can have because it's a full year recovery. Like the entire next year, he's done. And there were some stats. The amount of Achilles tears in the NBA since 1990 is averaging at about 1.25 a year. Okay, a little bit over 1. This year, there's been 8. And 3 of them happened in the playoffs, and all 3 of them were superstar players. Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and now Tyrese Halliburton. And this is a non-contact injury, which means it's just you're running. So you know immediately it's something serious. This exact move is the way that it feels like it's a literal picture-to-picture replay of everybody else tearing their Achilles. The exact same move. It's crazy. This was fucking heartbreaking. I'm not going to lie. I'm obviously a Suns fan. My dad was a huge Indiana Pacers fan. That was his original team back in the ABA. So we were rooting for them, obviously. And of course, typical, anytime we're rooting for anybody, this is what happens. So he goes out and they end up losing by like 10 or 15 points. They kept it somewhat competitive, but just took all the air out of the room. So that was truly unfortunate. And yeah, their next year's kind of fucked. So that's what happened in the finals. We have more. Kevin Durant, the best player on the Suns, got traded. We finally traded him because our team sucks ass. We're over the second apron, which means we're spending too much money, and we don't have any flexibility. They limit your options. It's a bunch of shit. And we can only trade there's one problem player is the guy with the no trade clause that we can't get rid of, so we had to trade Kevin Durant. Got some stuff back. It was okay. Could have been worse. And then the NBA draft occurred 2 days ago, and the Suns went crazy, actually. The first pick went to Dallas, of course, the rigged NBA draft. They got Cooper Flagg, the consensus number 1 pick. There was a player... Sorry, I'm going on and on, but we have nothing to talk about in this episode, so it's okay.
It's okay.
There was a player, it was interesting, Ace Bailey. I don't know anything about college basketball, but this happens very rarely where a player comes out into the draft and it's like, I don't want to play for any of these teams. He didn't work out for literally any team, which is unheard of. His agent, it was orchestrated by him apparently. His agent, I believe, was an ex-player's father. Okay, just some random player that wasn't even any good. And he's an ex-convict as well, and he's not technically certified as an agent, but he's acting as the player's agent. His advice was, don't work out for any of these teams because you don't want to go to them. He was supposed to be 3rd pick. So he drops to 5, goes to Utah, and he's like, that's the one team I don't want to play for. So now there's a whole stink on that. So there's just so much drama in the NBA. It's crazy. But yeah, the Suns get a bunch of centers is the TLDR. And one of them was a very cuddly guy from, I believe, Senegal. African guy, very, very cuddly guy. I was happy about that.
Could you imagine the way NBA drafts if that was how we drafted pro teams in Dota? That if you placed low in a tournament, the next tournament you got to pick a player.
It'd be awesome.
You got to like build your team.
So, not to harken back to old conversations, but the CGS, that was a draft, right?
I see, yeah.
I have to say, and this was before Twitch was even a thing, drafts like that are so fucking entertaining. It is so interesting to watch and engaging as a viewer. It's just hard to make work as a platform for like a game, right? It's not like you can... For Dota, every team is its own org. It's all third-party shit. Riot, yeah, you have your teams that buy in, but you're not really having drafts. Like it's hard to make work, but if you can make it work, that's the future. Because it's the most engaging thing that I've ever experienced was just watching the draft for CGS, and the production was garbage. They had nothing that they had today. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool stuff. Okay, that was the NBA segment. Oh, he's from Sudan, South Sudan. What did I say? I said Senegal. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
South Sudan.
Well, I couldn't fact check you on that one. My bad. I wasn't listening. So
yeah, true. All right, 7.39C came out, Cinderin. I'll let you take over. I'm sure it'll be riveting things that you're gonna not want to talk about.
So similar to the B patch, this is another small letter patch with what seems to be, all right, this hero is a little bit too good, we're going to nerf it by 1%. This hero is a little bit too weak, we're going to buff that by 1%. But I think, okay, so you tell me if you agree with this conspiracy theory. Do you think any of the patch notes are machine-made and not humans?
When you say machine-made, what do you mean by that?
That they have like... They have their stats for how heroes or whatever win rates are, and then they effectively use AI to balance heroes. Do you think that's true or not?
I don't think that's true. No.
Okay, so you think every patch note we get is fully someone in the dev team plus beta testers or whatever sit down and agree this is the way to nerf the hero?
Okay, so there could be suggestions from AI theoretically, but I think there's too much pride. If you're at this level of development, you've made it to the creme de la creme. You think you're going to let AI do balance patches for you? I don't think so.
No, I'm okay. Again, I have not taken a side here, right? I'm just saying I've heard others claim this because of the way in which patches are made. Not that entire patches are just AI, but perhaps that there is some... Because effectively, if you're balancing this game, it's a lot of work, right? And if you can just input, all right, these are the matrices of win rates across the brackets... Try to make this hero win a bit more and this hero lose a bit more while interacting with the brackets, right? It's really difficult to do, but I'm just saying perhaps, you know, what do I know? The reason this comes to mind is in these last couple of patches that we've had, there's been change logs where I've just been like, remember, I've looked at like lines in the patch notes and I've been like, what the fuck is this? You know?
Like what? Give me an example.
So for this one, for example, right, Axe has finally risen to prominence, and he's actually a high-tier pro pick right now. He's being valued a lot. And the nerfs this guy gets, one of them is the AoE of 25 Berserker's Call, reduced from +100 to +85. It's a really random thing to nerf. It's a really, really random number to nerf it by. Like, what human's going to sit down and be like, let's make this 100 to 85 on its 25 taunt? You know, I'm just saying, it just seems a little bit random and arbitrary, you know, in amount. That it just stands out, and it's more.
Do you have another example? Because this one doesn't track for me. I feel like I've done patch notes for our game where I'm doing shit like that.
Yeah, the thing is, you'd have to go back through multiple patch notes and see the pattern, right? And I don't remember it off the top of my head. It was like a feeling of some of these changes. So here's my point. Whether or not this is machine assisted or whatever, it just feels different to what we had some months back, is all I'm saying. So either they're taking a different approach to certain balancing of certain things, or it's a different person in charge, or it's a different it's a different structure of the team or whatever. Because some of the changes that happen in this game to nerf and buff heroes genuinely, in some situations, seem like the people that are nerfing and buffing the heroes don't even necessarily play the heroes.
Oh, I see.
Because
Okay.
the ways in which they're being changed don't make sense for how the heroes are powerful, right? And I'm not saying, oh, this hero is really too strong early game, you have to nerf its early game, because I've always been a proponent of keep heroes' identity intact. If they're a strong early game hero, try to retain that and then nerf something else. And that was a lot of the Ice Frog patches that were really good from years back were a lot about retaining that identity. And then this is one of my criticisms that I've had about Dota in the last couple of years, is that homogenization of now everybody can farm creeps, everybody can scale, everybody can yada yada, right? But even within that sphere of heroes working that way, there's something about these last couple of patches. I'm just like, this is such a random way to nerf and buff these heroes sometimes. Like, most of this looks fine. Most of this makes a total sense to me. And then it's just like a couple of them are like, okay, why? Right? Let me find. I had another one where I was just like, why?
You say machine assisted, then I would agree that I feel like any developer is going to have AI assisting them in some regard, right? Like giving suggestions or whatnot, but it's not like AI is choosing which ones to put in the patch notes, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on your threshold.
At the end of the day, I'm not saying this is like a super negative or does it really matter. It's just an interesting thing to think about, right? Is that there are infinite different ways of balancing a game like this. And I'm just having this vibe of this is different from 2 years ago. The ways in which Valve
the fact that you are the one having the vibe and you are an AI in of itself, Cinderin. Maybe I should be listening.
Takes one to know one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent.
Okay, what about this then? Just real quickly, Kez.
Okay.
Not that we know what any of his abilities do, because we don't need to.
Right.
He had very few changes, Cinder. And does that mean he's close to being in captain's mode?
That could be. I definitely think Valve should try to push this hero for TI. I think it's exciting. And if it's OP and just gets banned every game, so be it, right? I just think, what are we now? 2.5 months away? If they put it in a couple of weeks, it's definitely enough for the teams to get ready for it.
You know what's funny? Speaking of vibes, I'm getting different vibes with this hero versus any other. When in the past have you heard me say, God, I hope this doesn't come out in time for TI? Because I don't want to learn this fucking hero. It's too complicated, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's not an interesting concept.
It's one of those where maybe you just need to play it 2 games yourself and then you get it. But it's just so much reading and it's so convoluted the ways things interact. And then when you feel like you finally get it, then he has Ags and then you don't get it again.
Yeah, I guess the issue is that you, in the back of your mind, you know that they could rework everything because they have effectively like 3 times over. So it's like, why waste the effort of putting this in this very small container here in my brain, you know?
That was a mistake that some pro players made when Earth Spirit came out. They didn't really practice it because it wasn't in CM. And then when it was in CM, Jarex was 10 times better than everyone else.
That's true.
Because he had played it 100 games, and then it came out, and then it was just an auto ban because he was so fucking good. Same thing could happen with Kez, who knows? But yeah, I'm not going to go too much into detail about this patch. It's similar to the B patch. It's just a lot of tiny little nudges here and there to specific heroes. One that stands out like a sore thumb, though, which is completely uncalled for, is suddenly Spectre's reality now costs 40 mana up from 0. And I know why they did it, but this hero didn't even need to get nerfed. So Spectre got nothing to compensate. It's effectively preventing you from like spam jumping with reality or whatever, and like
that's part of the draw of the hero, though. Feels like,
right? Yeah, I don't know. That one was a little bit weird.
What about Phantom Lancer? I've been hearing rumblings about this hero maybe becoming a thing finally. Is this any truth to this, Cinderin?
He got picked today in Pro in a really good game for it, and therefore barely won. It has its moments. I think it's getting better, and I think the Lancelot facet is really strong. It's the one where your illusions do 25% damage with Phantom Lance. So if you have a full army, you're effectively throwing the equivalent of 2.5 to 3 Phantom Lances in damage when you throw Lance, which is very strong. I think the Ags is still kind of a meme, but who knows? Like, they're buffing it, they're changing it in some ways. He's still an extremely contextual pick. We're not going to see it very much, but sometimes it's playable, as we've seen today, so that's cool. But yeah, a lot of the changes this patch, just very tiny things that makes me feel like some of these heroes are being nerfed or buffed with a specific intention of pushing their win rate up by X%.
Yep,
Whether that's half a
Terrorblade
percentage or
continuing to
whatever.
get that 1% nerf, 0.1% nerf, sorry. And we're still going to see it every game.
2 base damage. Yeah. It's that hero's strong conceptually. And I mean, credit where it's due, right? If they like the way Terrorblade works, they have retained the hero's identity forever. This hero has not been changed in the grand scheme of things that much in the last 5 years while still being strong. So Terrorblade is still Terrorblade. You and I just don't like the hero, which is unfortunate for us. But it's staying true to what it is, and a lot of people like it.
As much as I complain, which is incessantly, I think you dislike this hero more than me because I don't have a problem with the concept. I just have a problem with being always good in every meta for fucking ever. Make it shit for 1 month. That's all I want.
I think our complaints, in a way, complement each other because the reason it's relevant all the time is the function of the, like, quote unquote 2 ultis, which is what I dislike about the design. So that's what makes him relevant, and you don't really care so much about that, but you care about the fact that he's there all the time. So how about this, Shannon? How about we rework this hero so it has 1 ulti and it gets picked less, and then both you and I will be happy.
Part of me would be like it, but it does make him kind of unique that he has 2 ultis, right?
It does. I mean, I get it. I'm just not a terrible enjoyer, and that's fine. Everybody has heroes they hate. You hate Lion, which is stupid.
God, I hate fucking Lion. So. God, what a
I think
disaster.
You hating Lion to me is weirder than me hating Terrorblade. But that's also because it's not about me. So
why did you have to put me in a bad mood all of a sudden? Fucking Lion.
Do you think more people in the Dota population hate playing against Lion or hate playing against Terrorblade? All brackets. What do you think?
I think Lion.
I don't know, actually.
I think Lion. For casual, of course, the higher you go, the less you're going to care about Lion because you're going to win the game, as I do, even at the lower level. I win the game eventually. So the laning stage is just fucking miserable, okay?
Okay.
Mana drain
That's interesting. All right.
Well, I don't want to get
That's one for the comments, Shannon. We need one comment that says, I hate Lion, and we need one comment on the video that says, I hate Terrorblade, and then we see which one gets most likes. And that will be our compass. Okay. We've got a pretty wide range of skill in the audience for this podcast, so it's probably pretty representative.
I mean, who would you say is I would say Tinker is probably the most hated hero, I want to say.
Not anymore. The old Tinker probably was. Okay, I think the most hated hero of all time
Techies, obviously.
Was Old Brood.
No, Techies.
Old Techies. Old Techies. Second place, Old Brood, and then third place is probably either Arc Warden or Tinker, right?
Wait, what's Old Brood consist of?
The one that had Spiderlings before level 6.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because that one was genuinely, you don't have Spiderling clearing heroes, you lose the lane level 3. And then he just takes your tower and runs you down and takes over the map.
Yeah, like the Arc Wardens and the Tinkers and the Meepos, these are all like Smurf heroes, So there's PTSD for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Lion is in all brackets. They lose the game eventually, but they just make laning miserable. So you want to quit.
You say that, Shannon, but the other day I played a pub game with a guy who picked mid Lion, and then 5 minutes in he was like, "Why did I pick mid Lion?" And we won.
Wait, mid Lion was on your team?
He was on my team. He went Echo Saber and the punching facet, and we still won. It was like I think he was Immortal rank 3K, so he was probably like 9.5K MMR.
That's
and
awesome.
He picked fucking mid Lion.
That's the only... Okay, that is like the only Lion that I would respect, is a guy that goes mid and goes the punching facet. That's fine.
I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess it's less oppressive with the mana drain in some extent. Depends on the hero. But
God almighty.
Okay. All right, let's move on from this. Great patch. We love 739C. It gets a solid 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 because it's fine. It nerfed some good heroes. It slightly buffed some weaker heroes. Eventually, Earth Spirit will be better. We'll get there. Don't worry, guys. Hold on to hope. We can have a good week. All of us Earth Spirit enjoyers down the stretch will get a good week, and then we'll get nerfed again.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, on we go, Shannon, to the dreaded every episode where we talk about predictions and I get fucked. So here we are today with the
before we get started,
qualifiers.
Before we get started, we didn't have this on our outline. I don't know if we're actually going to talk about it, but I see that you added something about TI predictions and then in quotations, double or ... even, which I assume means you got fucked in the TI quals.
It means that without checking the results, just going off memory, I already forfeit this this challenge. I'm pretty sure I mathematically cannot come back before TI.
God, I can't wait for that meal. Holy shit.
All right. So correct me if I'm wrong. All right, let's just clarify this. This was another $100 dinner that we bet, right? This prediction. Was it?
We're going to have to look back. It was either $100 or Michelin. It might have been Michelin, but we can go back and check. I don't remember.
The thing is, if it was higher tier, if it was like a Michelin dinner that we bet, then I mean, we could still, I don't know how I double that. Like, then we need to find like some really, a place that we probably can't get a table while we're at an event, you know? That'll be tough to set up.
Anyway. I will, somebody in the comments will find the link to the original episode where we went over this, because I feel like our original one was $100, but this new one was Michelin star, but I could be wrong.
Okay. I mean, I genuinely do not remember, but okay, we'll get there. Let's go through the predictions first. So the current standing in our little prediction game is you have 19 points and I have 12. And for these regional qualifiers, all 6 of them, we took turns at picking first and second place in the ones that was relevant. So we got one region at a time, effectively, where one player had the advantage in one and then the other had the advantage in the next. So we started with NA, where you picked Shopify Rebellion.
Because I had to.
And I picked Wildcard. No, you picked Shopify because you chose.
That's right. I did choose. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Fucking Boba, man. What are you doing over there?
And Wildcard won. So I get 2 points because I get 1 point from them qualifying and 1 point for perfect placement, which is literally only first in this one.
Okay.
Then we had SA. I picked Heroic. So that was correct. So I get 2 points.
Yeah. What's wrong with what's your issue?
There's more regions left. Then we have Western Europe.
I think I got both of these right.
First place Navi Junior and second place Nigma, which is flawless on both.
Yes.
And I picked Virtus Pro and Mouse, who got respectively 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Wow.
So what do you get? So you get 4 points because you got 2 correct and 2 correct placements too. That was basically a clean sweep. That was amazing.
God, I'm good.
Okay, Eastern Europe, I pick Aurora.
It finally pays off to be a fan of NGX, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I picked Aurora for Eastern Europe, which is correct. And then for China, you picked Extreme Gaming, which was correct. We're actually really good at this time.
Yeah. I mean, there's...
We've nailed all of them. Either one of us has been fully correct.
Wait, did you have the choice here? And you went Yakult?
I went Vici Gaming. I think you chose Extreme.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You chose Extreme.
Remember, I did not like Yakult.
And then finally, we had SEA, where I picked first place Talon and second place Boom. And Boom got second, so that was correct. First place was Team Nemesis, which neither of us even considered existing.
Yeah, who's even
so
on
I
that?
get 2 points for the second place, correct?
Raven.
And you get 1 point for getting Boom, but in the wrong placement. Which means in total, I get 2, 4, 6, 8, and you get 4, 6, 7.
Okay. Oh, you beat me.
Better than I thought.
You beat me.
I thought I got smashed just going off memory, but apparently some of the ones I thought you picked when I was like, oh shit, this is real bad. Shannon picked this and this and this. Apparently I picked 2 of them, or at least 1. So
yeah, Western Europe really saved me. This could have been a disaster, actually.
So what did you get? You got, I said you got 7, right? You got 7 and I got 8. So you got 26 and I have, let me see. So you have 26 and I have 20. So you're up by 6. Okay, maybe I don't concede then. I thought I was conceding because I thought you were going to slam me by like 4 or 5 points this week, but apparently I win by 1. Goes to show that writing things down is important because you just remember everything incorrectly.
True.
Cool. Okay.
So wait, what's the total? I'm up 6?
Yeah, you're up 26 to 20.
Okay. And we have Riyadh and TI, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's play them then, I suppose. Because I genuinely thought that it would basically be over after this week. But since it isn't, let's just continue the game
until
I feel like including TI.
We would have played them anyway, surely.
We would have still predicted, but we could have just not. Okay, here's full transparency. What I was planning was to do a different rule set for TI and make that a full-on double or nothing,
Yeah,
and that
of
it was
course.
TI only.
Yeah, of course.
For that.
I would have refused.
And when I say double
by
or
the way.
nothing, I wouldn't have said nothing. That's why I said draw, because I want to go out for dinner with you. And if you do double or nothing and I win, it's just fucking boring. Then we're not going to,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I'd rather we get each other a dinner than getting nothing. That's boring. But okay, let's just keep playing it then. Let me think, because I can't do that. We're going to do this a little bit ad hoc here. I can't do an episode next week because I'm having a full week holiday from Saturday to Saturday. So we need to make sure we have time to predict Riyadh then. So maybe we should do that now.
Okay.
Let's see.
Sure.
It's called EWC 2025, right? Let's see. Yeah, we actually have to do predictions now because they will start. The tournament starts on July 8th, which is Tuesday in a week and a half. All right, let's do predictions then.
So are we doing top four?
Surprise.
Third,
let's see, what
fourth
is it we
is the
usually have
same.
done? So we've done top 3, Dark Horse, and White Donkey. You want to change it for this, or
No.
we can
So
just do
top
the same.
3 just gives us like third, fourth is the same though. So okay.
Oh yeah, we just do that. Same as with Blast, right? Where if you pick third and they get third, fourth, you're just correct. Because it's the same placement. Okay, participating teams: Parivision, BetBoom, Spirit, Falcons, Liquid, Tundra, Talon, Aurora, Gaimin, Extreme Gaming, Navi, as in Navi Junior, which is now Navi, Team Yandex, which is an Eastern European team with TA2000, Solo, Kyra Junior, Noticed, and Problems, Virtus Pro, Execration, Shopify Rebellion, and Heroic. So 16 teams, basically the World Elite, are all there. Okay, we need a top 3 and then a Dark Horse, White Donkey. I can start with my top 3 if you want.
All right, sure. Well, is it better that
Okay.
I start since I'm ahead?
It's up to you. Whatever you want.
Well, it's more
your picks don't influence me, so
okay.
I'll pick
go ahead,
what I
then.
want regardless.
Yeah, I mean, we trust each other. I'm not just going to copy you unless I actually feel. Well, I probably still wouldn't then in that case, but go ahead.
Okay. Big stage. They're warming up. They're getting better right now when it matters.
I know what you're going to fucking say. Go ahead.
But who of the two? Because they're both warming up.
Go ahead.
Okay, they're both going to be top 3. I'll put Game and Gladiator second.
Okay.
And I'll put Spirit first. And then in third place, I have Falcons. I actually don't think Parivision even makes top 3. Which is genuinely just a matter of teams peaking at specific times and how it's going. I will be happy to be wrong. I wish the best for no one. But yeah. I guess that's also my White Donkey then, actually. Well, we'll see. All right, you're up. Top 3.
All right, Paravision third.
Okay.
Tundra have been sucking ass, huh?
Yeah, I got knocked out in 7th, 8th today. In Wallachia.
Oh man. You picked Spirit first, huh? Or second?
Yeah.
Or first?
Spirit first, Game in second, Falcons third.
All right, I'll pick Spirit second. So we got we have Eastern Europe second and third. I don't think I want to pick Falcons here. I kind of want to go for a somewhat surprise. But
BetBoom are also looking quite good right now in Wallachia.
I will literally never pick. This is my Chinese team now for you.
Oh, you could pick them for top 3 is all I'm saying. You don't have to pick them to win.
Yeah, they're never going to win a tournament. Which means they're going to win this
They
tournament.
have won one already.
They're never going to win a tournament.
Okay. All right. Fair. Statistically proven, of course.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to pick Spirit as first as well.
Okay. That's fine.
So Spirit
Who's
first.
Your second.
I'll do BetBoom second. They always is it three Eastern European whatever. I don't care.
I mean, that's indicative of the year, right? That's not a
I'll do that.
A shocker.
BetBoom always second. Spirit always first. Paravision. Yeah, that sounds fine.
I think out of your picks, the one I would be most surprised to see be correct is BetBoom making top 3 at all. I think that would be the biggest surprise for me personally. There's something about these like super high stakes tournaments and BetBoom that just doesn't line up.
Well, Pure rejoining the team,
very good. Yeah,
I feel like they can make some noise. I
for
sometimes
sure.
get them confused with Aurora, of course, since all the players have played for BetBoom. That's the team I truly don't believe in.
Fair enough.
Okay,
we need a dark horse and a white donkey. You can pick which one you want to do first.
all right, I'm actually going to pick Gaming Gladiators, white donkey.
Okay, what's that placement?
4th. Is that white donkey?
So not top 4.
Oh yeah, not top 4 then. Yeah,
not top 4.
Yeah.
Is that white donkey material? This is a stacked tournament.
Okay.
I think you need to go not top 6 even.
All right, what about Tundra? What would you give me on Tundra?
Tundra, I would probably give you not top 4. But it's like, oh man, these are getting tougher and tougher to justify, like where the cutoff is, right? But I think not top 4 is genuinely, if that's a white donkey, it's a team that has got multiple top 3 finishes in the same year, right? Because otherwise it's not surprising that they don't do it.
Yeah.
And Gaiman not getting top 4, I don't think is white donkey enough.
All right,
I think not
what
top
about
6.
Falcons not top 4? Would you give me that?
It's a stretch, but okay, you can have it. It's fine.
The problem is the next placement is 5 to 8.
Oh,
that is
you're
the placement.
Right. The format. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Then we have to do it this way. That's fine. Then these white donkeys are just a little bit harsh, but it's like,
so I'll do Falcons.
Saying not top 8 is like
8.
Okay, are we really going to do that, right? Okay, so not top 4 for Falcons. Mine will be BetBoom, not top 4 then.
Okay,
I think that's reasonable.
Sure.
Again, if 5 to 8 is,
I have a feeling that you're going to catch up big time in this one. I'm not feeling confident.
You can still change your predictions.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Your dark horse.
Dark horse.
So I think let's do this. For dark horse this time, we pick a team that makes top 8.
Top 8 that shouldn't make top 8.
That you think should not make top 8. I think I know who you're going to pick.
I don't think you do. I think you think I'm picking Na'Vi.
Yeah.
I'm picking Extreme.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Is that... Okay, let's see. Can we
name
a
Chinese team? It's a Chinese team. Okay? That's all I have to say.
Can we name 8 teams that statistically are supposed to place above them? Because if so, we can say that it's a dark horse.
Paravision, BetBoom, Team 100%. Spirit, Falcons, Team Liquid, Tundra.
Gaiman.
And
then
it's
Aurora
close. It's close. Aurora Extreme, I'd put close to each other.
I think it's okay, though. It's like borderline, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, given the year so far, you could almost argue it is a dark horse to begin with. Okay, so since I want Na'Vi Junior to do well, but I feel like it's my heart rather than my brain if I say them to get top 8. But it would be really cool if they did. They're good though.
They are.
I genuinely
almost
think they're
them.
good. But the thing that I'm concerned about is with these really young players. Sometimes players like that do really well on this type of these stakes, and sometimes they just, and you just don't know, right? Because you've never seen these players play for this amount of money. Fuck it, I'm picking them anyway. I could also pick Execration though. That's
Execration.
Oh. Yeah, I'll be pretty hype if they made top 8.
That would be.
I also want my boy TA2000 to do well. That's going to be tough.
A lot of choices. A lot of potential.
All right, I got to pick. I'll pick Na'Vi. Okay. Let's do it. Na'Vi top 8.
All right, I have a feeling that you're going to crush me in this one, and then TI is going to be super close between us.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I hope for the game that I catch up a little bit, but without a doubt, you deserve to win. So if I somehow manage to clutch this in the end because it gets a little bit wild and lucky, then
it happens.
You've had some really good predictions compared to me for the majority of this. So
I just love Eastern
6 point
Europe,
might not sound like much, but I like when you look across these, 6 points is a decent amount, right?
Yeah,
actually. It's like you're ahead by basically a full event. Maybe a little bit more. All right, it's noted.
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 Okay, next topic. Very important topic, ladies and gentlemen. The name conventions of our shows, our episodes. Nikki was perusing the bottom 3 viewership episodes that we've had. 2 of them are on the screen here. What do they have in common? One, the name is actually fine. The animator is announced, but it has a picture of Barney from The Simpsons belching. And then last week's episode, or whenever the last whatever episode, the title, $300 steak and gurgling vomit, because we had no other title. And then Barney shows up again, belching, except bigger. This is our worst viewership episode we've ever done. What do we do about this? Huh?
And it's 2 weeks ago. It'll catch up. You need to give it time. It's only 500 views behind a 4-year-old one. It will catch up. There's a lot of
How
people
is the
out there
animator announced? Not a good title, though. I mean, I don't know why we picked Barney to be belching on there, but
I genuinely, it's Barney's fault. It can't be anything else. The surrounding episodes have done significantly better. It's 100% Barney. Well, that's good, because now we've learned not to put Barney in there.
Like, why? Why don't you guys like belching? I don't understand. Why do you watch this show if you don't like belching?
What can we extrapolate from this, though, right? Like, okay, if Barney is bad, what's good then, right? Like, what is Barney what does he resemble the most that makes these do badly?
I don't know. We could try. Yeah, somebody's saying we should try Peter Griffin. I don't know. I feel like the episodes that do well are just us teasing some pro player that people haven't heard about in a while, and it has almost no relevance to the episode, but nobody complains about the clickbaitiness. So we'll continue to do that, I guess. Like, I think like last episode where we literally could not think of a title, nothing felt good. We can just ChatGPT it, because the title doesn't seem to matter as much as the thumbnail. And the thumbnail is just like, just put Arteezy's face up there or something. We don't mention him one time during the episode.
It's nothing to do. You know what? Just for safety here, Shannon, let me just mention, we did cover the EU qualifiers. OG did not qualify, and their coach is No Tail. So now you can put him in the thumbnail.
Yeah, No Tail's going to be on half of our episodes.
No Tail's coaching gone wrong. 2020.
Yeah, maybe we'll use that for this episode. We'll see.
All right. Well, that's a fun fact. I like that.
Yeah.
Barney, we're never using Barney again. Rip to Barney.
And the funny thing is, when I used this one, I had no recollection that we'd used it before. So
that's so funny.
Thank you to Nikki for investigating. Great research.
The thumbnail with Krusty got 23K views, she says.
Krusty. People love Krusty? Okay.
Yeah, you could put Krusty the Clown on this one.
Okay.
You could put Krusty the Clown and No Tail together for OG's performance. Actually, they were pretty close.
You know, actually, we should make it a requirement. We just list, like, if we have just every episode, just in case we can't come up with a title, at the end of the episode, we just list the 10 most popular people in history, like Jesus Christ. The fact that I've said that means we can use Jesus Christ's face on our thumbnail of the next episode.
Definitely get Let's get religious.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. Speaking of religious.
Jesus loves Dota.
Next segue. That one made no sense. Riot Games.
Yep. Speaking of Jesus.
They're opening betting sponsorships in esports, and they made a blog post about how they're doing it responsibly. I found this kind of interesting because we're so entrenched in like the betting aspects of esports. I feel like in a way, like before I read this, I was like, it's still true. They're trying to justify because there's not that much money in esports, and we know that kind of have to use money that isn't exactly the cleanest. Like for me, I'm not a gambling guy, Cinder, as you know. I don't think I've gambled since I was 21. I went to Vegas to do blackjack. I lost $100, and I haven't gambled since. Like there's no particle in my being that feels the need to gamble. I don't understand the draw, but I don't really have an issue with it per se. It's just not my thing. Would I take money from a gambling sponsor? Fuck yeah. I have no morals. You think I give a shit? Of course, people should be responsible. And like, I think I have a little bit of a negative opinion when it comes to certain aspects of it. Like, I think well, not to get into this, but Counter-Strike, the way they do it, I view it as kind of a loophole children's casino that they've kind of created, where it's a legal entity of sorts. They're not going to get in trouble, but it's creating a lot of bad habits for kids. I think that's a bit scummy, personally. But it's become like the root of that game. Anyway, so League is, I didn't even know they didn't have betting. Did you know this?
Honestly, not to this extent, at least, that they were so, like, they had such a firm stance on it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a bit surprising to me to see it.
One thing I found funny, let me find the exact quote here. No, that's biggest, I think was the word I'm looking for. There we go. As the publisher of the world's 2 biggest esports, can you tell me what the second one is that they're referring to?
Runeterra.
I assume that
There's no way Valorant is the second biggest.
I assume that they are referring to Valorant. This is objectively incorrect. That's not even remotely close to being true, which is weird. It's like if I make a blog post about my penis being 3 feet long, people aren't going to take it seriously. They're like, obviously that's not true. But then you think about it, why would you even write that? That makes you look bad, doesn't it? This is
What if you
incorrect.
wrote the owner of the world's 2 biggest dicks?
See, us being dicks is different. Yeah, that's fine because that's subjective. This is not a subjective statement. 2 biggest esports, that's incorrect. Not to be harping on that. It's funny because we were talking about the viewership of, not that we're getting off tangent again, the viewership of the Counter-Strike major, which was on at the same time as the Valorant whatever, was not close. Counter-Strike is way bigger than Valorant.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, they go through kind of the steps that they're going through to get sponsorships from betting to make sure that things are up to snuff, as it were. I don't know. I found it interesting because this is something that we've not talked about in a while because it's just been a thing in Dota, like in every single tournament, because you cannot have a profitable tournament without betting companies of some sort. And now that it's going to League, which you would think Riot would have no problem securing funding. Is this something you think we should be worried about from a larger ecosystem type of standpoint for esports?
I don't think we should be worried about the fact that there is more betting sponsorships per se. I think if there's a bigger concern, it's how little non-endemic interest there is rather than how much betting interest there is, right? Because I think the thing that's the shame here isn't, like, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I understand a lot of the problems that there are with betting and people getting addicted and making bad decisions. And honestly, like, I will always, when it comes to stuff like betting or casino stuff or whatever, the most important thing to me is that it's regulated and that it gets broadcast to an audience that themselves are legal recipients of that type of entertainment, right?
Yeah.
The problem with esports is that it's such a gray area where if you have a betting sponsorship, you can easily watch that stream as a 15-year-old, right? And if the site that's being advertised or whatever has proper checks in place so that you as a 15-year-old can try to access it but fail, then that's not nearly as bad as, for example, what you said, like Counter-Strike, where you can just do loot boxes, right? Because seriously well-regulated sites require you to send undeniable proof of who you are, including, like, let's say passport information, for example. And if you're a 15-year-old kid, you can't provide that. Then you can get your parents, blah, whatever. Like, there's always going to be, if you want to fuck with stuff, you can find a way to bypass the system, right? The problem that I have is how dependent we are on it, because it's one thing that there's a lot of money coming in from betting, and it's a gray area to begin with. Some people hate it. I totally get that. You and I are both more indifferent about the concept of betting and the concept of gambling. It's not for you. It's a bit more for me. That's fine. The problem is if it's all we have, right? I think it's a big shame that if you go back across the years in esports, we had way more non-endemic interest from, like, everything from car companies to shaving to, all sorts of stuff that mainly is targeting a male audience in the 20s, whatever, because that's the biggest demographic we have. If they don't see a good return on investment, potentially shows that the ecosystem is fragile, right?
Yeah.
That the price of stuff and the prize money and our salaries and everything is not, that there's not longevity in it. That's my concern. And obviously this higher betting involvement can be a band-aid for now, but if it's all we have in 5 and 10 years, I don't know if it can lift the scene, right?
Right.
Then these betting companies need, if they are meant to literally pay for the entire scene alone, if stuff like, good old sponsors that have sponsored esports for over a decade, like Intel or energy drinks or whatever, if they also start pulling out because they don't get ROI and this is all we have, that's my concern, is that we're headed down that path. I hope that's not true. But it's definitely been the direction things have gone in the last.
Well, you could argue that the Band-Aid, if you want to call it that, which is, let's say esports, just let's simplify it, betting raises up esports temporarily. And then once you get to a certain point, enough generations grew up with video games that then you're not really worried about the growth and the money eventually coming in. So that's why I probably give it a pass. It's areas like traditional sports, like somewhat recently, the NBA, well, I guess it's more America, started allowing betting in some capacity, right? And you take like a product like the NBA that is already extremely successful, extremely profitable, then you add betting onto it. That feels to me much more abrasive because they're just shoving it down your throat. Obviously, the US is a very capitalistic country. They're min-maxing every single fucking facet to just get this shit in your face constantly. And to me, that becomes really abrasive, as opposed to esports where it's actually needed, it feels like, right? So, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion, though.
Yeah.
I think for short term, it's a
interesting,
bit worrisome, but we'll see.
It's interesting for two reasons, right? One is how much do we need it? And secondly, what is the community perception of this? Because I think Riot got, from what I've gathered from this, massive negative backlash from their community, whereas I feel like in Dota, this has been more of like an organic is probably the wrong word to use here, but there's been like a gradual development over the last couple of years. So it hasn't gone from like, we didn't go from like zero to something, right? This kind of just step by step became more and more a part of our ecosystem, where Riot has had like a very firm stance on it, and now they're breaking that.
Yeah.
So for them, it feels like a really big story, and it's interesting how different the communities are approaching this. I think the one that would have the Dota community up in arms was if Valve said we're going to plaster sponsors everywhere for TI, right? That would be the final one that we have that's ad free. There was a bit of a borderline thing where the road to TI was allowed to have sponsorships, right? I think that was last year and the year before, which was not the actual finals stage of TI, has always been sponsor free. At least it hasn't been advertised. I believe they have had like partners, like hardware suppliers or whatever, like the monitors and the computers and whatnot, have probably been provided by someone, but they were never advertised during the broadcast, right? They were just a partner. So they kind of had like passive value of having their products placed in the image, but it wasn't an official sponsorship deal. At least that's my understanding. So I guess that's our closest comparison is how would the Dota community react if Valve said, we are now having sponsorships on TI?
I feel like people would be upset at first, but then over time, it wouldn't be a discussion at all. Like the next year, probably a lot less. And then the year after, literally no discussion.
Yeah.
Where this one, it does, like you said, it feels like a huge Band-Aid being ripped off. And you just got to take the negative press, and eventually, just like with everything else that makes money, it'll go away, Cinderin. People will stop talking about it.
The question is, do you think Riot could have avoided this with different structure? Because from my understanding, and this, correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't know if you can do that, but maybe, the comments or whatnot. My understanding is that the World's Championship and all this stuff from Riot, which has had really big sponsorships, has been stupidly expensive for Riot to run. And they've also had like all their player salaries and all of this. So my understanding is that it has been running at a significant deficit. And if they don't do this, they genuinely cannot uphold their pro circuit without running at a minus, right? So I guess my question is, did Riot essentially and did League have a similar problem to Dota where things became worth too much too fast? Because the Dota ecosystem had its own problems with TI dwarfing everything, and therefore it was hard for secondary tournaments to, attract the pro players and make a good product without having a really big prize pool and really good conditions and really cater to all the players' needs. And player salaries from orgs were exploding in the last couple of years, right? Or last, let's say 5 years compared to what it used to be. I personally think it went too fast. And I think perhaps that's also what happened for Riot, that they kind of had to match something, and then they've reached a point now where they can only try that for so long until they have to budge.
Yeah.
So I guess, okay, that was a long question. Do you think this is the same thing that happened in Dota in a different packaging, essentially?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think because Dota's numbers were always smaller, right? A lot smaller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you could probably
you'd think
float
this
for
was
a while
mega
longer.
profitable, right, for Riot. You would think so, with how big League was.
Yeah.
But they had so many employees on Riot.
I mean, they have the two biggest esports titles in the industry, Cinder, apparently. So they gotta keep the money flowing in somehow.
They cut a lot of people as well, right, from Riot for working on League. I think they massively reduced the size of the team. I think they had to go through major cuts.
I think that's industry wide though, and
yeah,
I mean, obviously they have a lot more employees than Valve do by a huge margin. Okay,
but yeah, I don't know. In conclusion, what do you want to say to this? I mean, this has obviously happened now for League. I don't know if we're curious how this influences the game. There's the community backlash, which is one thing, but do you okay, let's put it this way. Do you think if there's a lot more money coming into League's ecosystem, whether it's from betting or whatever, do you think that has any sort of ripple effects on the rest of the scene? Or do you think it's just an isolated product that this doesn't affect anything else?
I don't know enough about other esports to really be able to answer that, because are there other companies that we're not allowing betting? I feel like that's pretty normal to allow betting in some capacity, right?
Right.
So maybe this is like the last wall breaking down before everybody else gets on board, which I think most people already were. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm not well versed enough in other games to really know. I'm a Dota player after all, Synderen. So just a one trick pony, as they say. Okay, that does it for this episode. Final thing I'll talk about before we bid everybody adieu is Relic Arena. So the closed beta has been out. I won't really talk too much about it, but I'm going to stream it for the first time right after this episode. So if you're watching on VOD, you can catch the stream, I guess, the stream VOD. If you guys go to our website at relicarena.com, there's a subscribe button at the top. If you want to enter our newsletter to keep up with updates, that place and the Discord are the best places to get that. So to kind of recap what's happening, it's in closed beta. I think in the next few weeks, we'll probably do some giveaway, keys for some people. But in 2.5 to 3 months, the plan is to have an early access where people buy in. So probably $20 or something like that if they want to buy into the unfinished product. At that point, we're hoping that the mandatory requirement for early access is to have progression and monetization at a basic level so that we can start making money. And then the actual game coming out as a free-to-play, hopefully by end of year. But that one is basically when it's ready. So the typical response from devs. So yeah, if you want to get the newsletter, go to relicarena.com/subscribe, and you can put in your name and an email address. Okay. So I'll be streaming that right now. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and I guess we won't talk for a bit, Synderen.
I'll see you in, oh yeah, true. Well, maybe you can still record an episode while there. We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know if that's possible. Otherwise,
we'll see.
Otherwise, it'll be another slight podcast drought. I hope you guys bear with us. It's not always easy to do it when we're doing other things.
That's right. All right. Until next time, Sunsfan Synderen signing out. Peace.
Bye.
We say things that don't mean anything.
Subscribe.